Hello lovely people, it's Nicole, and today I want to talk about my most anticipated books of 2018. And we are a little bit into the year already, so like a couple interesting books have already come out. So I'm not going to talk about those, except I think my first book actually comes out like 3 days away from when I'm filming this. Might be after I upload this, so I don't know. So that first book is Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. Like I said, this comes out on January 23rd. This is about a girl named Alice who is biromantic asexual, and she is kind of having a rough time of it because her girlfriend just broke up with her when she came out as ace, but she just met this new guy who she's kind of become friends with. He seems really cool, and she realizes that she's falling for him, and so she has to decide whether or not she wants to risk ruining their friendship in order to pursue a relationship. The next book on my list is Restore Me by Tahara Mafi, and this is the 4th book in the Shatter Me series, which is so exciting. It used to be the Shatter Me trilogy, and then Tahara just announced a few months ago that there was going to be a 4th book, and like there are samplers out in Barnes & Noble. I haven't been able to pick one of them up, but like, oh my god, I'm so excited. We get to see more Warner and more Juliet and more Kenji and more Adam, but like, it's gonna be so exciting. I believe this picks up just like a week or two or something really short after the last book left off, which like was kind of a dramatic ending, and like everything's changing, so I'm very excited. If you don't know what the Shatter Me series is about, it's a dystopian where a number of people have these strange powers. Our main character Juliet has this power where, I think if I remember correctly, she like puts people in pain when she touches them or something like that, and she has been like locked away in prison for a really long time, and then she gets released / broken out by this guy named Warner, who is like the son of like the ruler of this like dystopian world, and there's this whole it's just like so much, and there's like magic and powers and like a love triangle, and it's just so good. The next book I have on my list, and this is like up there for like my most excited, that's Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. This comes out on April 24th, and it focuses on Leah, who's one of Simon's best friends if you read Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. This is kind of a sequel to Simon versus. Obviously it's from like a different character's point of view, but it does pick up, I think, next school year after Simon versus. So like there will be spoilers for Simon's book, but I also think it's not necessarily like you don't have to read Simon's book in order to read Leah's. But like I said, this focus is on Leah, and she is in her senior year of high school. She is deciding whether or not or how she wants to come out as bisexual to her best friends, because she hasn't felt ready to come out to any of them, not even to Simon. And then she's also like in this band, and I don't really remember if there's any like plot summary beyond that. I'm just like just like buzzing with excitement for it because it looks amazing, and I love everything Becky Albertalli writes. The next book on my list is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This comes out on May 1st, and we don't really know a lot about the plot of this one. The description on Goodreads just says, the highly anticipated second novel from Angie Thomas, #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Hate You Give, returns to the world of Garden Heights in a story about an aspiring teen rapper and what happens when you get everything you thought you wanted. And she's like talked about it a little bit on Twitter, just saying she's really excited for it. She loves writing this new character, but The Hate You Give was so good that like I don't need to know a plot description. I'm in just 110%. I trust Angie Thomas. The next book I'm excited for is Save the Date by Morgan Matson. This comes out on June 5th. Obviously I love Morgan Matson. She writes the best fluffy, summery contemporary novels, and this one I'm sure will be no different. This is about a teenage girl who's returning home for her for her older siblings' wedding, and this is like the first time that all 4 of her siblings will be together under the same roof for like a long time, and so she's kind of like nervous about it, and on top of that she's gonna see her longtime childhood crush again for the first time in a while. But as badly as she needs this wedding to go well, everything that can go wrong seems to be going wrong. Like I said, I love Morgan Matson's books, and I'm sure this one is going to be just as charming and adorable and funny as all the rest of her work. The next book also coming out on June 5th is Bruja Born by Zoraida Cordova, and this is a sequel to Labyrinth Lost. This series is about a family of Hispanic witches or brujas who live in New York, and the first book focused on one of the girls in the family who, on the day she was supposed to have this ceremony that sort of like increased her power and things like that, she accidentally sent her family away to this like creepy magic realm and she had to go rescue them. I believe this book focuses on another one of the sisters, and I'm so excited to read it. Zoraida Cordova's writing is absolutely incredible, and the way she writes this world is so like beautiful and lush and magical, and I love it so much. Getting forward a few months, the next book I'm excited for is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. This comes out on September 25th, and this is a book that like has been a long time in the making. It's the sequel to Vicious, which came out, I don't even remember, it was before I started book 2, but it was in like, I want to say like 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. I'll double check and put the actual year on the screen, but like it's been a hot sec. I've talked a lot before about how much I love V.E. Schwab's writing. It's so good, and Vicious is one of her most well-loved books. It focuses on two men who, when they're in college, figure out how to give each other superpowers, and it sort of flashes back and forth between them trying to figure that out and getting superpowers, and a few years later when one of them has just gotten out of jail and they have this like rivalry thing going, and it's so dark. She calls it her like villain origin story, and I love it so much. I can't wait to see where this new book is going to take us, because I was so blown away by the first book and just everything else she writes that I cannot wait to get my hands on it. The next book I'm so excited for, scratch what I said about Leah on the Offbeat being my most anticipated book of the year, because like this might be above it. What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. See, I don't feel too bad about like bumping it above Becky Albertalli's other book, because like they're both Becky, but this one also has Adam Silvera, and Becky and Adam have been like really good friends for a while, and I am so excited for them to write together. The summary says that this book focuses on two boys who meet while one of them is in the post office mailing his ex's things back to him, and then there's sort of a misconnection type thing and the universe throws them together for a series of just bad first dates, which sounds like it's going to be amazing and hilarious and adorable, and like I don't know if it's going to be like a Becky style book or an Adam style book, but I'm kind of terrified because if it's an Adam style book, it's going to kill me. If you don't read Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli, Becky's books are super cute and contemporary and fun and fluffy and adorable, and Adam's books tend to be a little bit more like speculative fiction kind of contemporaries, and they are dark and beautiful, and they break your heart into a billion tiny little pieces. So I'm kind of terrified, but I'm sure they will unite their forces for good, fingers crossed, and regardless of whether it's a happy book or a sad book or something with a bit of both, which I'm guessing is what we're gonna get, I am so excited to read it. Oh, and that comes out on October 2nd. Also coming out on October 2nd is The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee. This is the sequel to The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I always have to like double check that in my head because I keep getting it mixed up with Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, which is a Broadway show, but it's confusing, okay? The Gentleman's Guide focuses on a teenage boy in the 1700s, I think? 1800s, something around there, who's going on his tour of Europe with his best friend, who he's secretly in love with, and his sister Felicity. And like, it's like super queer. The main character is bi, his best friend's gay, his sister is ace. Although I will say that his sister's sexuality isn't talked about in that much depth in the original book, but the author has confirmed that she's ace on Twitter and that they're going to go into more depth on it in this second book, because the second book focuses on Felicity. I don't want to spoil Gentleman's Guide to you guys, but there was some major life changes for Felicity at the end of Gentleman's Guide, and this focuses on her journey going through dealing with those life changes and seeing where they take her. In a time where she was just expected to go to finishing school and make a pretty bride for someone, she wanted to be a doctor, and she's a badass and she's brilliant, and I love her so much, and I cannot wait to read her own book. And the final book coming out on December 4th that I know is just going to tear me to shreds is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This is the last book in the Dark Artifices series, and Cassandra Clare always just like destroys me with her books. The ending of Lord of Shadows, I can't even think about it too much without getting emotional. Cassandra Clare has always been really great with her series finales, and this is the first time she's ended a series where like we know for a fact that there is going to be another series that takes place just a few years after that she's like already planned out. So that makes me kind of nervous because typically at the end of her series they have like a solid like this is over kind of ending, but because we know we're gonna pick up with this family after just a few years, she doesn't have to give us that, which is, you know, a little nerve-wracking. I'm scared that she's gonna like kill off all my favorite people. It's gonna be a lot, and it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be long because all the books in this series have been fairly long. It's going to be painful, but it's going to be amazing. As scared as I am for it, I also trust Cassandra Clare with my everything. Let me know what books you guys are excited for in the comments below. I also want to know if you guys are also excited for any of these books, and like let's talk about them and theorize, because like I have a lot of emotions. But like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye!